The food that we eat today has been changing and evolving over time, starting with hunting and gathering to industrial farming, which produces millions of pounds of food to feed our ever-expanding population. We first started getting our food through hunting and gathering our food. When we hunted and gathered our food, food inequality existed because of the geographic luck that where people hunted and gathered their food. Geographic luck is when one place has more or less resources than other places. Geological good luck creates food inequality in places that have food deserts and a low income because they do not have access to good food.
Humans first got their food by either hunting or gathering it from the wild. These early humans were nomads because they had to constantly move around in search of animals and plants. Because of this reason, hunting and gathering societies are pretty small because it is very difficult to be nomads if there are hundreds of people to move around every several weeks.
10,000 years ago, a big change happened in human food production and collection. Farming was discovered. Farming let humans be able to live in one place and support more people because humans are able to grow more food than hunting and gathering. Living in one place also created a greater population density because farming grows lots of food that can feed thousands of people, much more than a hunting and gathering society could. Farming was first invented in the Fertile Crescent 10,000 years ago when the Earth had a major change in its climate. This change over time turned the Fertile Crescent into a dry desert where animals and plants ceased to thrive because food was becoming scarce. Hunter and gatherers had to start using a different method to get food, and this was farming. Farming allowed these humans to grow plants that could survive in this dry and arid climate.
Many inventions such as writing and the wheel have come from farming. Ancient Mesopotamian cultures were the first farmers. These cultures invented the wheel to transport food easily from one place to another. Writing was invented when these cultures had a surplus of food. They would write down the transactions in food so they would always know how much food they had. In ancient Mesopotamia, the climate was arid, so they invented irrigation so they could grow their crops.
All great civilizations had one thing in common, and that was the mastering of food systems that could support their culture. One such civilization other than the ancient Mesopotamians were the ancient Mayans. The Mayan climate was perfect for them to grow their staple crop, corn. This crop was able to supply enough food for the Mayans, and with the help of irrigation, the Mayans were able to grow a surplus, allowing people to have other jobs instead of farming. The Mayans invented math and were amazing astronomers. They used this knowledge in farming. They created an astronomic calendar that told them when to plant their crops and when to harvest it. Today, we still use a calendar to tell us when to plant and harvest our crops. After the ancient civilizations had invented farming, they started to realize that other places in the world had less food. This was because of geographic luck. What geographic luck is that places with more fertile land in a nice temperate zone have more animals and plants that can be raised and grown with ease, making it easier to live there because of their geographic good luck. Some of the proof that geographic good luck is true is that 13 of the 14 domesticated animals came from the temperate zone. This temperate zone was Eurasia. Eurasia is where all the major civilizations started because of the fertile land and the good climate in the temperate zones. One of the ways the geographic luck happened was that since the climate was the same, the Eurasians could grow food all around the temperate zone and move the produce across the land with ease because of the same temperature and similar terrain.
Geographic luck and food deserts are similar, but there are some differences. Geographic luck is only affected by physical geography, while a food desert can be in a place where there is geographic good luck due to the economy. Food deserts can be made by the economy because if farmers cannot live off their salary in that area, then they will have to leave. This will create a food desert because there will be no local food. Geographic luck is the main reason for global food inequality. Many people have different reasons for global food inequality, but they have all been proven to not be plausible. One such claim was that some types of people are just smarter than others, but DNA tests have shown that intelligence is not linked to DNA and that all humans have equal intelligence. Global food inequality is when some people have access to any type of food whenever they want, and some people don't have access to good food at all. Papua New Guinea is a prime example of food inequality due to geographic luck. Papua New Guinea has none of the major domestic animals, so they must use manual labor to farm, slowing down their efficiency. Papua New Guinea do not have any of the high input crops such as wheat and rye to farm, but instead have low output crops that require lots of work to farm. These two reasons have created a large gap in wealth and food between societies like Papua New Guinea and societies of Eurasia. Have domestic animals and crops that yield lots of food.
Food inequality could be ended if we as a species would be more efficient with our food. If governments subsidized local food and small farmers instead of monocultures and large corporations, then we would have more fresh and healthy food, helping the earth by supporting soil growth. This would bring and keep money in local economies while sustaining the local people with fresh food that is readily available. As a globe, we waste half of our food we make. If we were to bring this food to places where there is not enough food to feed the local people, then we would feed many more people. Food inequality is also about how healthy and good food is. If we as a globe were to shift our attention to healthier foods instead of fatty and processed food, then more businesses and companies would start selling these healthy foods because there would be a greater demand. A way society could shift the focus to healthy local food would be to teach kids in school about food and food inequality. In turn, these kids would enlighten their parents about good choices. Through this system, we could teach the world about food inequality and the solutions to end it.
In Rhode Island, we have a
Gates Foundation. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation have been working on a global level and have stations all over the world so they can work on a local level and also work with other partners that want to help end world hunger and food inequality.
In Rhode Island, we have a very diverse food market. In some places, we have all natural, local, organic produce that has the highest quality that food can have. But then in other places, we have the normal processed food that was made in a giant factory. There are two major things holding back everyone from being able to have local, fresh, organic food. And those are money and accessibility. When people can't get to the food or the food isn't available in the area, it's called the food desert. One of the solutions that we could put into progress is simply moving and spreading the food out to more places so that people can have access to the high quality of food, successfully eliminating the food desert. The other problem is money, and that is a little bit harder to solve. But some solutions are to make the high quality food available, the food stamps, or when some people can't afford it, they get a special offer of 20% off the produce. Some of these methods have already been put in place by a company in Rhode Island called Farm Fresh RI. While these methods are working, they aren't large enough to spread out across the state and help all the food equality in the state.
Our food system has changed over the years from the extremely simplistic hunting and gathering to the complex food factories that use too many ingredients to create something simple like a chip. When we did create a more complex system of attaining food, we started to see that more food was in one place than another. This was geographic luck at work. Having fertile soil and the right climate to be able to thrive and grow plenty of crops to eat. But when this happened, they saw that some people who didn't have geographic luck had less food, and little food that they didn't have as many nutrients as the food in the temperate zone. This was the start of food inequality. One place had better and or more food than others, and we still see this today all over the world. What we need to do is stop the food inequality, not only in America, but in the world, so that all people can eat a wholesome meal every day.